Well, hi, my name is Christian Betancourt, and Christian Betancourt. We wanted to share with you today about some innovations that are taking place in Central America, specifically in Honduras, regarding digital identity. Um, I'm a fellow at Fundación Eléutera, a Honduran think tank that promotes economic development and social tolerance through studies and policy development. We're part of Atlas Network. I'm also an associate at Consortium Legal's FinTech practice area, a corporate Central American law firm. And I just want to thank Michael Healy and Unit Global for inviting me and for taking into account the projects that we're carrying out in Honduras. First, this basically I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you how this has been developing here. But first, I thought it was important to establish what we understand as digital identity, as well as making a quick recap about its development around the world. Digital identity is basically information on an entity or a person used by computer systems to represent an external agent. The term digital identity denotes certain aspects of civil and personal identity that have resulted from the widespread use of identity information to represent people in an acceptable, trusted digital format in computer systems, which is what we'll be talking about today specifically. How do we understand digital identity from a personal legal point of view? The information contained in a digital identity allows for assessment and authentication of a user interacting with a business system on the web without the involvement of human operators. Digital identities allow our access to computers and the services they provide to be automated and make it possible for for computer systems to mediate relationships. Um, now it is truly widespread. It has been established as a significant technology around the planet with different levels of adoption. Of course, uh, it is for it is indeed for a growing number of public stakeholders and citizens already a day-to-day reality. Um, and it has revolutionized the way that we individuals interact with each others and with public institutions and the way we carry out agreements among ourselves. The UN, the United Nations, and the World Bank, or more specifically, the ID4D, the Identification for Development Program for the World Bank, initiated to set a goal for providing everyone on the planet with a legal identity by 2030. The World Economic Forum in 2018 also put that as a priority in Davos to have people, to have everyone have their own identity in an ordained and transparent way. Of course, probably the most well-known example is Estonia. Uh, Estonia launched its EID, its electronic ID, back I think it was around 2008, and its digital identification system has been growing steadily. It probably started around 2001, but it got more widespreadly used around 2008. A whopping 98% of Estonians have an e-ID card, and the country has facilitated authentication, data storage, and sharing using digital signatures through its chip-based cards or digital keys. So you have like your ID card, it has a chip, and it has your digital identity. Uh, their EID cards offer a wide array and are now embedded to Estonians' everyday lives, truly. Um, with and this is also linked to their national health insurance card, bank accounts, voting, of course, online voting, medical records, tax filing, and so it has increased efficiency in many aspects of their way of life. It has reduced the costs, both monetary and time wise, for having to comply with certain regulations. Um, Another great example is what they have been doing in India. They have this called Aadhaar, which is their digital identification system, which was launched in 2009. and it has an over 90% adoption rate at the moment. They've enabled biometric authentication, which is, being able to scan your features, your faces, um, as part of a broader digital ecosystems with additional functionality. So this is like the best examples of countries that have this more developed. France has also announced in 2018 its national ID scheme. Canada has done it as well. The UK has started an initiative, as well as Australia. And there are different countries that have plans in development in several stages. Um, it is worth noting more recently that the European Union has emitted regulation regarding electronic identification of signatures, which were applied started being applied in 2018. What the experts are expecting to see in the forthcoming years are more mobility and greater demand for security and trust in the systems. Um, considering the accelerated shift that we're still experiencing worldwide towards cities and now smart cities. So this should be linked with smart city platforms. Um, there has been a call for more public supervision and digital identification systems, um, as well as we are seeing presently that a whole lot more countries are developing their national ID cards and EID programs. So that was just for a context that I wanted to let you know, uh, specifically what we're dealing here in Honduras. So, um, what's going on in Honduras and Central America? Before properly entering the digital identity topic, I must start telling you about the electronic signatures in the country. Uh, our electronic signature law dates back to 2015, but there were no electronic signature certifiers, like the actual certifiers, the companies that certified the public signatures, recognizing the country until 2018. And truly, the process for a certifier to be recognized is quite slow. It has a considerable amount of regulation to be complied with, and there is a considerable required investment capital to start with. Um, the adoption rate has been slow too, with mostly just the financial sector having adopting it in a widespread manner, uh, and just for like high level transactions. So though we have the certifier in Honduras, we have the laws in place, the adoption rate is still really low, even amongst lawyers, even amongst high level companies. It's worth it's worth noting that this law, this new regulations face resistance from the public notaries in the country. They presented legal actions against the law that were unfortunately dismissed. Um, for you to understand this position, it's worth noting that notaries in Honduras have to be lawyers with a certain amount of time of legal practice. They have to be a certain age, and they have to take a test before the Supreme Court justices, which, as you can imagine, this creates an obvious filter. There's a small amount of notaries in the country that are able, thus, to charge considerable sums for the services. Unlike other countries that don't have requirements that are so tough to comply with, including in the region. In Guatemala, you just have to be a lawyer in order to be a notary. In Costa Rica, you have to be a lawyer, yes, but then you just take like a 1 year uh, post grad, and then you become a notary. And let's not even like touch about the U.S., where you don't even have to be a lawyer. So that creates a bottleneck for notarization practices. It's very expensive, like when considered from the point of view of people that are making minimum wage. So we've been dealing with that, but so that has been the scenario so far. regarding just electronic signatures. However, like what we're because of what we're living right now, the pandemic and the emergency, the quarantine, uh, we were able to slip through the political window, and certain reforms were published a couple of weeks ago. Now, a simple electronic signature, which is basically, a distinct sign placed over electronic documents, not a certified one, just a simple electronic signature, can be recognized without the certification of an authorized certifier. Uh, we're still working on some follow-up dispositions about how government entities will interpret them, how they will interpret this simple electronic signatures, but the law already allows them to take them into account, to take them as valid. Um, in general terms, they would only need to comply with either one of the following authentication methods. One is the public key infrastructure, or biometric signature, or any other equivalent technology, an electronic signature system in the cloud, a double factor validation system, and biometric systems using uh, photographies, using photos. So as you can see, just like we're here in a Zoom call, you can see me, you can see my face. This should be enough with for a biometric uh, exam, basically, of myself, of me, my face, my features. You know that I'm myself. So this should be enough for me to have a valid electronic signature when I'm about to sign something, some agreement, when I'm about to present some petition to a government institution. This should be enough. Uh, and that's when it gets interesting, because we're going to link it with the work that the National Civil Registry has been doing, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. I just want to finish with the reforms, which include the possibility for companies to have internal attesting officials authenticating documents and signatures as a notary would. Also, recognized international electronic signature certifiers don't have to be registered in the country. So, getting yourself a document authenticated, uh, it's going to be very easy. You're going to be able to have inside your company like an internal notary, an internal attesting official, authenticating documents and signatures around the clock. So that's gonna reduce a lot of costs for companies, especially thinking about startups and small companies, family companies, that they're not gonna have to to go to a lawyer, notary that may charge them a whole lot more than than what what they're actually gonna receive, right? Um, this is you're just validating that a copy is the same as the original document, or that this signature actually was put there by another person, like a notary in the States does. Um, so I needed to tell you about how the regulation about electronic signatures are, because they paved the way. They paved the way for digital identity in the country. When we understand it in relation with the work carried out by the National Civil Registry, which is called here El Registro Nacional de las Personas, uh, which was the registry was intervened a couple of years ago. Certain scandals were happening. The Syrian situation, the situation in Syria and the Middle East, was in a bad stage. So some Syrian refugees came to Honduras and were able to buy Honduran identifications illegally, of course, in a corrupt manner. So the U.S. embassy found out, and they were just like, "No, come on, what's going on?" The National Registry was intervened. New authorities were put in place, which I believe have been tested professionals, not career politicians, and they were able to secure a contract with Oracle. So Oracle, we have a contract with Oracle for using their platform. They're developing a platform for the registry. The An Oracle, I do must say, uh, has been working in a truly admirable manner because they are conscious, about certain situations that happen in Honduras, how things are not as transparent here as in other places. So they actually requested for the contract to be publicly uh, accepted, publicly signed and discussed in the National Congress, in the legislative body. So I just wanted to comment on that. So so now with this platform, with the Oracle platform, um, we're going to be able to have our identity registered in it, and the platform is over blockchain technology. So that takes out the risks that were happening before, the risks for the corruption that was happening before, like the case with the Syrians. So now each identity is going to be on blockchain. It's going to be very transparent. It's going to be very clear, who is a Honduran, for how much time, and all the related information. Who are your parents? Who you're married with? Who are your kids? And so on and so forth. So what we're expecting right now is that the in the next year or so, we're going to have new identity cards with chips to be used as digital identities. So you're going to be able to sign your documents with your identity card, and if you want to, double check it, double secure it with biometric means, through the features of our faces. Um, and that's going to be it. You're not going to need a notary. You're not going to have to pay large sums. It's going to be very fast. It's going to be very safe. So in a country like Honduras, we think it's going to be very valuable, um, for reduction of costs and for making this type of services available for the general public, making it easier for them to carry out business, for them to keep track of their agreements, for them to ease their access, for banking opportunities. Um, I just want to say, as a side note, this has been supported and fought over with Fundación Eléutera, with the think tank, and we had our first experience back in maybe 2013 when we tried to do something similar with the land registry, the real estate registry. We were in talks with Factom, which is a U.S. based company, a blockchain company, developers in Austin, Texas, and we had meetings with the government. But back then, I think it was just a bit too experimental, they said. But now we were able to create an ecosystem where the incentives were in place for the National Civil Registry to accept a blockchain platform, and with Oracle nonetheless. Uh, so that's basically the situation. That's what we expect for it to happen. There are still some regulations that need to be put in place, especially regarding data protection. But I think the ball is rolling, and we're gonna get it done. Just as a side, just as for me to let you know what's happening in the rest of the region. Nicaragua has no electronic signature certifiers. El Salvador has a law, and it's just starting to get it rolling. Guatemala and Costa Rica do have an environment, do have companies that are certifiers of electronic signatures, though the adoption rate in those countries is very low too, as is in Honduras. In Costa Rica, the regulators are not even speaking about digital identities. There have been some talks in business groups and in business conglomerates, but not from the regulators. So it's still far off. In Guatemala, there has been some talks. The banking regulators have started approaching the fintech companies, the fintech associations in Guatemala, to study a way to start implementing digital identity, at least for banking transactions at the start. So we in Honduras are, yeah, surely a bit more ahead, but still there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of education to be done too, regarding population, regarding lawyers. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And I just wanted to share with you this what I believe is a so far a success process, um, and just share that with you. I don't know if you have any comments, questions, or if you want to share with us your experience using electronic signatures or digital identities in your countries.
Hi, this is Michelle. I'm really interested in this topic, not just because I'm in blockchain payments. I just want to know what your process is like in the space, um, and how is adoption like? Like, how are you onboarding humans?
Okay, the onboarding process presently, um, well, we just have one certifier in Honduras, which is a company named TechnoSign, and they do require that you do the onboarding personally, physically in their offices. And then they give you different options. They give you an USB, a memory, a flash drive, a USB flash drive, or a card, or you can have it in your phone. But the onboarding process has to be physical still. However, there are other companies that are in the middle of the process to be authorized to be certifiers that don't need you to onboard physically, um, that are representing international certifiers. So they have that platform as as a support, say. And what are we doing for the adoption level? Well, I think it's just cultural in a way. Uh, People, old established businessmen, are just used to do things in a certain way. So it's about convincing them. It's about convincing the regulators. But this particular situation that we're living with the pandemic, though hard as it is, has opened the possibility for these alternatives to gain some speed.
Awesome,
I
thank
don't
you.
I don't know if I answered your question. I think there was a first part that I maybe didn't catch.
Yeah, I mean, I like when we talk about identity, like the concept is awesome, is very ideal, right? And I, me personally, when I think about identity, I think about security, privacy, and identity, right? And I think they three of them, the concept interplay, right? Because we have synthetic identities now where people can use deepfake to pretend to be you, and then we have, the intersection of surveillance, and there's a boundary between surveillance and, individualism, right? And right now, more than ever, we see that. Um, so when you talk about digital identity, I mean, I'm just thinking, who signed up for it? How are we doing that? And what does that mean? What kind of information is public? What is private, right? And are people signing up because of an incentive, or they're signing up because they really believe in that idea of, I mean, I'm an Estonian e-citizen, I really love that. And I think it's awesome. And I really got a chance to visit Estonia for one of my other community,
Cool.
but, like just really big picture wise, the enforcement or the execution of that, it's just really hard, right? Um, so, and how is that integrated with the legal process?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I share with you your considerations regarding privacy, regarding protection, regarding the full implementation of this. I wanted to speak like mostly about the notarization aspects of it, for signatures and for us to have ordered identity registrations. But I do agree with you. There are a lot of aspects regarding data protection, your private information protection, that we still have to figure it out. Um, but I think that that's what we're going to be doing in the process. Why don't you tell me more about your endeavors with blockchain?
I basically is a counsel at PayPal for 6 years. After that, I co-founded a blockchain company in 2015 in payments. And then I basically advise like tons of company in the blockchain space. And I mentor Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator and, you know, a few other things. But beyond what I do, you know, I also help with the California Coalition with creating the blockchain bill and really recognizing digital signatures as legitimate in the blockchain space. And even then, at that time was like, what, 2 years ago, there's a lot of fight. I don't know why people always give me problems, but there's a divide between consensus and the definition of blockchain and whether that should be included, right? If you really think about it, you can have private chain and not have consensus part, but we love consensus because it's decentralization, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you exclude that, you're going to get in legal problem, right? So, I mean, you're going to exclude a bunch of people who are just using it for private chain. And I think the combination hybrid model of private public chains are really important. So, and then also with digital signature, I think about how about like estates and wills and a lot of the stuff that is not covered that requires like real signature, you know? So those are some of the areas that I'm really interested in.
Cool, cool, cool. And I do agree with you. Like thing is, for us, for the the blockchain alternative was especially attractive because that's decentralized nature makes it for us a bit more safe, a bit safer, considering what was happening before, right? With a centralized registry, with a centralized database that could be that was being you know, changed illegally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
but
I think it's cool. I just more because it's been so long, and I really love the ethos. I love the ideals of decentralization. I know a lot of people take advantage of that, but I want to see disruption, and I haven't seen it now. And so many companies who have raised money had pivoted, right?
yeah.
So I mean, like I just want to see change, and I haven't seen that. I mean, and that's why I'm asking.
Oh,
I want
well,
to see a better world, I guess.
don't we all?
Some don't. Some just want the money. You know that, right?
Well, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But no, it's really cool. Where can I find you?
You can find me on Facebook or Telegram is Laptop Radio.
As what?
Laptop Radio. I have a radio show where I talk about blockchain and AI and other emerging technology.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if you're on Telegram, but it's Laptop Radio.
I'll check that out. I'm gonna
Yeah,
leave
I have
yeah.
a private blockchain group on Telegram as well, just so I don't have to deal with spammers.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'll leave you and anyone else who's in contact in case you want to talk or want to have any questions about how our process is going in Honduras or any other fintech topic related in the region. I'll be more than available. So I'll leave you my email. And it's been very nice meeting you. Are you a speaker?
Yeah, I'm gonna come on at 1:30. I'm gonna talk about resilience. More of like how do we survive and thrive like around this time, because I think we're gonna enter into a depression.
Oh yeah, I think I saw it in the schedule. So okay, no, I'll check that out if I can.
Awesome, thank you.
I don't know if anyone else has a comment, a question. Or if the next speaker is already in the room.
Awesome. I kind of want my workshop to be a little bit interactive, because I'll be kind of talking about potentially serious stuff. So if you guys could kind of talk whenever, that would be kind of awesome.
Oh, so you're right next.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll stick around.
Yeah. I'm like at 1:30. So, and it's only half an hour, I believe. So
Yeah, quick sessions, food for thought.
Yeah.
So I'll just
Yes, connect me on Telegram. It'll be awesome.
yeah, I'll check you out. I'm just gonna get a glass of water, but I'll be around.
Awesome.
Nice meeting you. Okay.
Yeah, nice meeting you.